Welcome to the world's first straight talk Solarcast. This is your go-to podcast for answers about solar. Brought to you by Solar Harmonics in Northern California, who invite their customers to own their energy by purchasing a solar panel system for their home, business, or farm. Each episode, we discuss questions facing people making the decision to go solar. The solutions to your questions are given to you straight by one of the leading experts in the solar industry, Jamie Duran, president of Solar Harmonics. Feel free to search our library for answers to questions that you're facing when considering solar. And now, here's Adam Duran, our host with the questions, and Jamie Duran, our solar expert with Straight Talk Solarcast.
Hello, Jamie.
Hello, Adam.
How's everything in the land of solar this week?
Oh, it's ups and downs, moving and shaking. Never a dull day in solar. It's pretty crazy. But
yep, I've learned that over the years. Oh my God.
Yep, going good. One topic I wanted to talk about is the new administration. There's almost every day there's something to do with renewable energy. And as we know, the president's not a huge fan of renewable and solar power, and especially wind power. And so one of the big things is put a freeze on all funds that have to do with renewable energy coming from the federal government. And that is fine, except that most of those funds were going to the red states. And the red states were not so excited to have their funding stopped. And so they immediately contacted their representatives, and their representatives were blindsided by this. So anywho, we'll see how that goes. But the snake eating its own tail is where it's very fascinating, but we'll see how things go. But there's been very little talk about the 30% federal tax credit. That seems to be safe for this week. And the bonus 10% tax credit for using domestic product, that is also safe. And so we'll see how things go. But I've heard even that if that is repealed somehow, it's going to take 3 years and if ever, that Congress would need to vote it out. So even if there's an executive order to freeze, tax credit, that's not really coming from the government. It's not like there's any direct funding, but there's no freeze on, fossil fuels or fracking or anything like that. So fascinating. So maybe solar needs to rebrand as solar yakking. I don't know. We got to come up with a good term that sounds a lot like fracking, and then we'll get full funding for it. Yep. How do you like that?
I have no slogans or anything, and I don't know.
All right. Well, and then in Texas this week, big news. There is a new bill that is on the floor there to get approved, and this would regulate solar salespeople. And this is the first one in the nations. Yep. And it's establishing a regulatory framework for solar salespeople who engage in high pressure sales, and really all the things that we've been complaining about for years. There is now, if somebody gets hit with this, it's going to be $100,000 fine, and it's not to the company that they work for; it's to that person individually. And so that'd be interesting, because that really doesn't happen in legal or mortgage or real estate or anything. I mean, people can get fined for sure, but generally the company takes care of it. So it's going to be fascinating, because now there's going to be some penalties other than just hurt your reputation if you take advantage of so many of these I read are just 85-year-old signs a 25-year solar lease with a 11% annual escalator, and I won't even be around in 5 years. And now the son is saying, what? How do I get out of this? And the company's saying, yep, you don't. And now we can force the sale of the house, and because there's a lien on there. And
wow.
And the house worth $300,000, and solar lien is $280,000. So it's ouch, it's pretty bad. So these are the kind of things that I think this bill would help regulate. And there's a couple of big companies that would really feel the pain of that, because they seem to be the ones who are committing most of these atrocities in solar. So I just don't know how do these guys live with themselves. So
Jamie,
yeah.
though, I thought that in California you have to have not like a contractor's license, but like a sales license or something like that to sell solar already. No?
In California, yep, it's a home improvement sales license, or
Okay.
HIS, and you do have to register, but there's really no, it's not, no one's out chasing it, and so
Okay.
this would be, I don't know if Texas is going to set up a whole occupation or a department on solar, but they are going, still learning about it. But it is very interesting
Okay.
because Texas is almost as big. It is now bigger than California in terms of solar sales, and so it's it's huge business, and Texas is a gigantic solar state, and so it's going to really have a huge impact on how sales are done in Texas. And I imagine it's going to filter out to other states, and maybe California will catch on one day. California is certainly not leading the way in this in solar regulation, but other than trying to get rid of it altogether. So it's but yep, it's pretty funny. And the Texas bill is 1036, and it's relating to the regulation of residential solar retail transactions, providing and requiring an occupational registration. So that's like the HIS license, and then charging fees and providing civil and administrative penalties. And then, so it's called the Residential Solar Retail Regulatory Act. And
Wow.
it's about time, but it's very sad that solar had to get to that place that the government has to intervene. And you would think that if you do a good job and you say what you're going to do, and then you take care of your solar customers, that they will continue to refer people to you. But a lot of people are when you see some of the internal text messages that are leaked about the size of the commission that somebody added onto their sale, and they're high-fiving each other, and I'm like, wow, somebody making $30,000 on a $80,000 sale, that kind of thing is just ouch. It's hard. It's really hard, because then it makes it bad on, makes it tougher on the good companies that are trying to do right by their customers and then generate long-term business, not just that one time. And instead of marketing up 40-50%, that is pretty brutal. And then the customer pays on that, and they pay interest for 25 years. It's ouch. It's really rough.
So this is an attempt to basically kind of give morals to the solar industry,
or penalties. Penalties.
Well, do things right, or
well, it's still ambiguous on what would qualify for this. If you're a dishonest solar rep, so there's no. So I think they're still trying to figure out what is dishonest, and so. And maybe that's why there's a lot of resistance in the solar industry for this, is because there's no real guidelines, or when would $100,000 fine be imposed. So there's still to be determined on that side, but it is interesting that it's going to there at least some the legislature, at least in Texas, is saying, wow, this is an industry, and it's really putting some hurt on people, and we need to act, and we need to get involved. And in California, there's a series of ads and series of outreach by the CEO of PG&E, and they want you to feel the love of PG&E, and they're interviewing people, and we feel your pain, or feel your. And it's interesting because now PG&E is saying that one of the reasons for all of the increases is because of solar. And that's what with solar to light any fires, or it's not taken away their $40 million compensation or anything, advertising nonstop. But that's one of the big things right now is the CEO of PG&E is blaming solar because of increase in prices. So that's fascinating. Fascinating.
Wow.
As I said,
I did see that, and I was like, the numbers don't support that in terms of adopters. I mean, you can say, hey, those guys are freeloading or whatever, but the percentages don't support that. I don't think. I'm not an expert. I don't know.
Well, I would, a lot of times somebody who's just getting a normal PG&E bill without solar, they probably call PG&E once every 7 to 8 years, and somebody who has solar probably calls 2 to 3, 4 times a year, I would say, because they have questions on their bill, because now they're generating power and they feel their bill should be zero, or they have questions. There's so many, but it's also because PG&E made very, very complicated all of the solar rules, so people are going to have questions on it, and if they're first going to call the solar installer, but if everything's producing normally, but there's no real good way to measure your electricity usage other than really getting that monthly bill or using pgne.com to see. But you really have to kind of see it almost before you use it, or if you are going to add an electric car, what is the impact on my electricity bill? And we've talked to so many people who bought a Tesla or bought a Ford F-150 Lightning EV truck, and they said, guy never said my bill was going to go up $500 a month, and now it is. and so those kind of things. It's PG&E is getting more and more integrated with people's lives, and solar is a big part of that. But I don't think it's solar's fault that PG&E is increasing their rates. So very interesting. Very interesting.
Wow.
Yep. More to come.
All right, Jamie. We're going to wrap it up there. Thank you for taking another few minutes out of your week to learn about solar, because there's always something happening in the land of solar, as Jamie reminds us every week. Thank you. Wow. If you have a question about solar, you know what to do. You can go to our Facebook page, Straight Talk Solarcast. Send us a message through there. If you'd like to check out the library of our past episodes, you can go to solarharmonics.com, click on the podcast link at the top of the page, and you'll be taken to that library, and it's searchable. So you can search and search and search. And I almost guarantee you'll find an episode that Jamie has talked about solar and in minutia for years. I mean, this is an amazing thing that you have access to. If you have a friend considering going solar, this would be an excellent podcast to refer to them, because it will save them thousands upon thousands of dollars over the life of their system. What better friend is that we always ask? I don't know. Until next time, everyone. See you.
That's all for now. Thank you for listening to this episode of Straight Talk Solarcast with solar expert Jamie Duran. Join us each week for more answers to your solar questions. Speaking of questions, got some? Email us at solarcast@solarharmonics.com, and we'll be sure to give you an answer in an upcoming episode. This episode of Straight Talk Solarcast is brought to you by Solar Harmonics, the leading solar energy developer in Northern California, who invite you to own your energy. Visit them on the web at www.solarharmonics.com.